What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon Challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Emerald Crest, which is going to be our new Romhack we're going to try out today. Shout out to Denny for showing me this Romhack. She's the best. She shows me like every Romhack that I do basically, and she really helped me out on this video, so shout out to Danny. Anyways, let's get into the rules of this video. So basically this video is going to be me attempting to beat Pokemon Emerald Crest, and by the things of it, by the way, Danny hyped it up. It's actually going to be a game that rivals against Radical Red, which is interesting because you guys do know how much I love Radical Red. Is one of the best ROM hacks of all time. This is supposed to be like an Emerald version of Radical Red, where it's much difficult with new rule sets, new Pokemon. They have up to Gen 8 and also a lot of Hisuian forms, so it's pretty cool. As well, there's no level cap, but the trainers actually level up with you, so your highest Pokemon will be their highest Pokemon as well. And for the final portion of the rules, each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments, so thank you so much for leaving it in the previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after your future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. And while you're down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to start out with, I actually got myself a Bagon. I reset it because I actually want a better nature. I wasn't able to find anything where I could switch to nature. Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough, but I couldn't see a way to switch to nature in the game. Actually lucky enough that I started off the game resetting for a good nature or decent nature for my Bagon. You see a bunch of dragon type Pokemon as a starter Pokemon, which is interesting. From there we caught a bunch of Pokemon. We also caught ourselves a Froakie, which is interesting. They give us Froakie very early in the game. Froakies can be really good. As well, we get ourselves a Skittle and also a Rookidee. Some very great Pokemon. I don't know why I have a fondness for Skittle recently a lot, especially from the previous challenge video I did with Gita's team on Pokemon Scarlet. That was pretty fun to use Go-Go and actually sweep down everyone. But from there, we're going to actually start off training our Pokemon. We want a Pokemon up to level 15 or 16 at the very least. That's where I thought the level cap was for this game, but there is no level cap. You can level up to level 100 before the first gym. Once I got a lot of my Pokemon to level 16, the grinding in this game takes a little bit. The game actually ended up freezing, so I wasn't expecting the game or the ROM to freeze. I'm not too sure if this is a common issue, but I get this a lot, so I have to actually constantly save the game, which is very annoying. And I also have to spawn in some rare candies, so I have to avoid the traditional grinding up, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. From there, we're going to face off against the very first gym in the game. We're going to face off against Roxanne. She's still the rock type gym leader in this game, but she has a Mega Aerodactyl, which is insane. She's really powerful. As you see, I lose my first attempt against her. Danny did tell me there was a Mega Aerodactyl, but I still lose to it. So on my second attempt, I start the battle off against Roxanne using my Luxio. Luxio's gonna knock out the Minior for me and then switch out, sack my Rookidee so I can switch out into my Luxio to get 2 attack drops onto him with an Intimidate and also a Baby Doll Eyes, and then allow myself to go into my Frogadier, which for some reason the Aerodactyl actually wants to roar me out, so I switched out to my Skittle. Skittle gets frozen, which I don't know how this happened. 2 of my Pokemon get frozen against the Aerodactyl, which is insane. But eventually, we're able to knock out the Mega Aerodactyl, and the final Pokemon will be an Onix, which my Bagon almost knocks out. But my Frogadier will clean up, and you already see how great Frogadier is as a Pokemon. You know, this thing is so powerful. From there, I'm heading to the forest, and there's some boss Pokemon or boss battles in the game where you can face off against very high level Pokemon. I'm not too sure if you could ever catch them because I was unable to catch the Scizor, and it also beat down my team multiple times, as you can see. From there, I'm going to go out and catch myself an Abra. We'll also get to that. We caught a bunch of Link Trade Pokemon. From there, we're going to face off against Brawly next. Brawly is the fighting type gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Corvisquire. Corvisquire is able to knock out the Hawlucha in 2 shots with a pluck. From there, he's going to switch out into his Mega Lucario. I switch out to my Luxray, which is able to swagger into him as he goes for a Swords Dance. So he's unfortunately +4 in physical attack, but he's confused, and it's a 50-50 whether he attacks me or not. He ends up attacking himself and then ice punching me. But luckily enough, I switch out to my Frogadier. It ends up knocking himself out, which is amazing. He then switch out to his Heracross, which I'm able to Water Pulse into him and then switch out into my Corvisquire. Now, it's just 2 shots from Pluck will knock him out. I get down to low HP, but you know what? Corvisquire is going to end it. And the XP share, there's so much text for the XP share. As you can see, it doesn't go into my party. It goes to every single member individually. From there, I don't know why I lost this battle. I just ended up losing this battle in Watson's gym. From there, we're going to face off against Watson himself. Watson can start the battle off against us using a Heliolisk. I start the battle off against him using my Machoke to revenge. Doesn't end up knocking out the Heliolisk in one shot, surprisingly, but 2 shots will knock him out. His next Pokemon will be a Dracozolt, which will knock out my poor Machoke, but I'm able to go out into my Luxray, get some Baby Doll Eyes, get some damage off against him, and then end up going to my Go-Goat. Now Go-Goat has Bulk Up, and I'm able to bulk up in front of him, Leech Seed him. He could use as many items as he wants, but unfortunately we can't. I kind of just like to play on set mode and you can't use items, and from there I'm able to Seed Bomb into the Rotom as well, knock him out. His next Pokemon will be a Toxicity, which I'm unable to knock him out as he's gonna knock me out. Go out into my Kadabra, which will Side Beam, almost one-shots him, but he'll knock me out as I go out to my Greninja to Water Shuriken. Unfortunately, it only hits twice, and he's gonna Wild Charge me, but that would knock him out as we're able to beat down Watson, and we can move on. From there, I did not show off this quick travel. This quick travel in the game doesn't make too much sense. Sometimes you can actually quick travel to the place you want to, but yeah, using these Pokemon in the overall sprite, you can quick travel to other locations without using Fly, even though it doesn't really matter because you do have the box on you at all times. So I mean, it is what it is. From there, we're gonna go out into the route before Fall Arbor Town and catch ourselves a Honedge, which, you know, obviously gonna be on my team. Super annoying. Once you evolve Honedge into Aegislash, it doesn't get a King's Shield. You have to go back and relearn some moves to get King's Shield, which is kind of a flaw. From there, I did search up how to evolve trade Pokemon because I want to evolve my Machoke and Kadabra. Unfortunately, there is supposed to be a guy at the docks on Sleepwood City that'll evolve trade Pokemon for you. That's what happened in the video. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any documentations or a way to actually evolve anything, as in Danny tried to find it and Danny couldn't find anything, so I didn't try at all after that. From there, we're going to face off against Flannery next. Flannery is going to be the fire type gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Kadabra. Kadabra unfortunately goes down immediately. And then I'm going to go out into my Corviknight next. Corviknight is able to scare out the Darmanitan into her Marowak, which will end up knocking me out, which is kind of unfortunate, but I end up doing a lot of damage to her as I go out to my Greninja to knock out the Marowak, substitute in front of the Darmanitan, and then she's going to switch out to her Arcanine. I switch out to my Aegislash. It's going to Z-move me. I didn't even know Z-move was here, but yeah, Z-move's going to knock me out, and then I'm able to go out into my Machoke, and somehow Revenge actually knocks out the Arcanine, which actually works out for us, as she then switches out into a Darmanitan. I'm able to get a Baby Doll Eyes onto it and an Intimidate to lower his attack stat, but then I go out to my Machoke, and Machoke's unable to live an attack, so I thought this run was basically over. I end up getting a Water Pulse Confusion on him using my Greninja, end up knocking out the Darmanitan, and her final Pokemon will be a Mega Camera, which is 4 times weak. I think I'm in Torrent actually, so I'm able to actually one-shot the Camera. I think I could have killed like 4 Camerups with my damage right there. So I'm able to knock down Flannery and get the 4th gym badge in the game, which is pretty good. From there, we're going to do another battle as we face off against Norman next. Norman is the Normal type gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Machoke, because Machoke's, you know, obviously a fighting type. We're able to knock out the Snorlax for us, and then his next Pokemon will be a Drampa. I lower his speed as he's getting Fire Blast and knock me out. From there, I'm going to switch out to my Luxray as he heals up, and he's end up knocking me out as well. But I go out into my Aegislash, finally knock out the Drampa. Why? I don't know why that thing took so much damage. But as you can see, I don't have King's Shield, and it's going to Dark Post me and knock me out. So I decided to go out to my Corviknight against the Porygon Z, and unfortunately, it still ends up the same way as it knocks me out as well. But lucky enough, Greninja is able to knock out the Porygon Z, and his final Pokemon will be a Mega Audino, which, you know, ends up knocking out my poor Greninja, and the last member on my team is gonna be my Go-Goat. But Go-Goat's able to tank all the hits from the Audino, as you see, bulk up in front of him, and I completely lost track. I didn't know this was his last Pokemon, so I started setting up against him. Eventually, I'm able to Horn Leech and knock out the Audino, and we end up beating Norman, which is pretty nice. From there, we're gonna go out and quickly do a side quest. We're gonna get ourselves the TM for Ice Beam for our Greninja, obviously. And then from there, this is an awful showing of my battle skills. So I decided to sack my entire team and just let myself get rolled down by the Scizor. But unfortunately, the Scizor was not wanting to throw. It actually wanted to give up the battle, as it didn't go for a Bullet Punch against my Greninja at 13 HP. I'm able to knock him out with the Rain and on Torrent. So yeah, I don't know what May's doing. From there, I'm going to get some more leftovers for my Pokemon, because there's Munchlax that spawn here. Here, I'm testing out the Dex Nav. But unfortunately, I don't know what's wrong. I can't actually, I don't know why I can't encounter anything. I'm walking the whole way as well. So eventually, I end up giving up on that and move on into facing off against Winona next. Winona's going to be the 6th gym leader in the game, the flying type gym leader. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Greninja for some reason. I think because I got Ice Beam. So I'm able to just surf into the Corviknight multiple times. Eventually switch out into my Luxray, which I overrid Spark, so I have to give it an electric move. I gave it Shockwave, and it actually works out pretty well. It forces in the Gliscor, which I could double into my Greninja. Ice Beam to knock out the Gliscor, which is nice, and then also Surf to knock out the Corviknight. Huge plays by my Greninja. Her next Pokemon will be a Staraptor, which I go out into my Luxray. She doubles into her Skarmory, which I'm able to two-shot because Shockwave is a special move. And then from there, she switches out into our Altaria. I know it's going to be a Mega Altaria, so it's not even a flying type. So I go out to my Aegislash. It does start in Shield mode, but then it just gets stuck on a Sword mode. So I'm able to knock out the Altaria, and now it's still exposed. From there, I can switch out into my Luxray to just Shockwave into the Staraptor. Eventually, it knocks me out though. So I have to go out to my Greninja, but Greninja is able to knock out the Staraptor pretty easily as we end up being down Winona. I don't really fail any more gyms, I don't think. From there, we're going to do some story actually. We're going to clear through the Team Aqua and Team Magma hideouts, and that will allow us to go into Moss Deep City. Now, Moss Deep City, we're going to face off against Tate and Liza here. Tate and Liza are the 7 gym leaders in the game. They're also a double battle fight, which they only have 4 Pokemon, which I feel like is a little lacking. I'm not going to lie. But we're going to start the battle off against her using my Luxray and my Salamence, my newly formed Salamence. You guys remember that's my starter Pokemon that I haven't been using too often. But I have Crunch on the Psychic type gym. It does a lot of damage. Unfortunately, this is why you don't see my Salamence, because it gets Ice Punched by the Metagross and knocked out. From there, I switch out into my Aegislash against her. I'm able to Night Slash into the Slowking and Crunch into the Metagross. Do a lot of damage, and then unfortunately they're getting heal up. I'm able to knock out the Galarian Slowpoke. Is it Galarian? I think it's Galarian Slowpoke or Slowking. My Aegislash unfortunately will go down as I knock out the Metagross. From there, they can switch out into a Gardevoir and an Alakazam, as I'm able to get a Crunch off against the Alakazam and then Steel Wing into the Gardevoir. Do a lot of damage to the Gardevoir, knock out the Alakazam in one shot, obviously. And I also got Wild Charge, so I don't have to use a special attacking move on my Luxray anymore. From there, we're able to knock out the Gardevoir, and things pretty easy. So we end up being Tate and Liza. Now we gotta do more story situations, as we're gonna go out and find ourselves Rayquaza, and Rayquaza can spawn in the top of the city. Firstly, I want to get rid of my HM moves on my Pokemon, and then I'll go help the world, in top of the city. From there, we're gonna face off against Juan next. Juan is gonna be the 8th gym leader in the game. Juan's also a water type gym leader, so we're gonna start the battle off against him using my Go-Goat, and that's the end of the battle. So I'm gonna Leech Seed into the Zermo and then bulk up 6 times against him, and then Horn Leech to knock out the Zermo, get my HP back. I unfortunately get burned by the Rotom, but I still knock him out in one shot. The Toxapex comes out next. It does stall me for a little bit until I realize I have Bodos, which will crit and also knock out the Toxapex in one shot. From there, he's going to switch out into his Dragovich, which I 2-shot with Horn Leech while burned. So yeah, this thing's pretty powerful, as his last Pokemon will be a Mega Blastoise. I'm able to one-shot it, and Go-Go is a monster. Jesus. That thing is very powerful. From there, we're going to go into Victory Road next. We're going to face off against Wally. Super easy battle. I don't need to commentate this. It's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same Pokemon. They didn't change it at all. They didn't even try to change it to Oras, where they got a Gallade instead of a Gardevoir, which, you know what, we're fine with that. They didn't change Victory Road at all, I don't believe. So we're able to clear through Victory Road pretty easily. Do our final arrangements before the Elite Four. As you can see, we're just going to teach our Pokemon some new moves and all that, and then face off against the Elite Four themselves. They started to increase the levels in the Elite Four exponentially, so they get a lot more difficult. Actually, the Elite Four is one of my favorite parts of this game, because it's actually brought back more of the challenge I was expecting. So anyways, we're going to start the battle off against Sydney, going under the impression that they're just as easy as the gym fights. They're actually pretty difficult. We start the battle off against him using my Go-Go against his Incineroar, which I'm able to Leech Seed into, but unfortunately he switches out into his Weavile. So now I got to switch out to my Corviknight, knock off almost one shot to my Corviknight, which, a second one will knock me out. So that was a really, really huge awakening that I cannot just breeze through it. I go out to my H-Slash thinking I could survive one. I couldn't, so unfortunately I do go down as well. I'll finally send out someone reasonable. I send out my Greninja next, which is able to knock out the Weavile for me, and then he sends out his Incineroar. It's always going to go for Fake Out, as it almost knocks me out with that. I'm able to go for a Surf as he switches out his Incineroar for a Grimmsnarl. I'm able to 2-shot the Grimmsnarl. And then from there he switches back out into that thing. He can switch in between, just getting the Fake Out damage as he goes out to his Bisharp. I'm going to stall out the Bisharp a little bit using my Go-Go, which will get his HP back, and then he's going to switch out into his Incineroar, into his Tyranitar. I'm able to knock out his Tyranitar, and then unfortunately he can't knock out my Go-Go, as I'm able to 2-shot into him. Actually, he burns me, so he actually at the end knocks me out with Flare Blitz, which is kind of funny. But from there, I go out into my Salamence, and I recover pretty well. But that start of the battle really did a lot of numbers on me. But the Elite Four does not get easier. So we're going to face off against Phoebe next. This Phoebe fight took a little bit. Actually took me 3 different attempts. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Greninja. Get a free KO with a Surf. And then her next Pokemon will be a Mimikyu. I don't want to stay in, obviously, because it has Play Rough. As I go out to my H-Slash, and then I'm going to go for an Iron Head to break his disguise. It goes for Shadow Claw. Almost knocks me out, as is going to go for a Shadow Sneak next. I'm able to go for a Bulk Up, and since I have leftovers as well, I'm able to regain a lot of HP. Steel Wing to knock out the Mimikyu. Her next Pokemon will be a Gengar, which I know this thing's going to one-shot me regardless. I go out to my Go-Go, and Go-Go's able to survive an attack and get a Bodos off. It's actually going to end up 1v1ing this Mega Gengar, so Go-Go is the champion of everything apparently. Her next Pokemon will be a Dragapult, which is going to be very powerful, as it can go for a Phantom Force. I don't really have a counter to this. I go out to my Greninja. It can't outspeed it. Dragonite will knock me out, which is unfortunate. I decided to go out to my Luxray, which will get a crunch off against him, and then unfortunately won't survive a Phantom Force. I go out into my H-Slash next though. With the crunch damage, I'm into Shadow Sneak, knock out the Dragapult. Her next Pokemon will be an H-Slash, which I go out into my Salamence. And Salamence does not have Earthquake because he only has 3 moves, because I'm an idiot. From there, I go out to my Go-Go, which I'm able to Leech Seed and actually bulk up stall him. Eventually knock out the H-Slash, and we end up beating down Phoebe, which, you know what, was worth. From there, we're going to face off against Glacia next. Glacia is the Ice type Elite Four member of the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Greninja. Surf one-shots the Mammoth, which is amazing. From there, she's going to switch out to her Arctozolt, which isn't the best Gen 8 fossil Pokemon, but it does a lot of damage as it one-shots my H-Slash out of everything. I'm going to crunch into him and then eventually Baby Doll's Eyes into him. And I 1v1? I do 1v1 it with my Luxray. Her next Pokemon will be a Weavile, which I don't have really switch in. This thing almost knocks out my, I don't know why the first time it actually knocks out my Corviknight in 2 knockoffs, but unfortunately this time it still knocks me out in 2 shots, as it goes for a triple axle kick with a knockout to knock out my Corviknight. From there, I go out into my Greninja, and Greninja, she has the thing to knock out Weavile. 1 Surf and 2 Water Shurikens will knock out the Weavile. As her next Pokemon, and her final Pokemon will be a Ninetales. I sack my Greninja, which is unfortunate. From there, I go out to my Go-Go. It goes for a Sub-Zero Slammer, and it's gonna knock me out. As I go out into my Luxray, and lucky enough, it had some pity for me, and it goes for Pain Split out of everything. So I'm able to Wild Charge and knock out the Ninetales, and we'll take that W as we can. Oh, her final Pokemon will be a Galarian Darmanitan, which goes for a Belly Drum. So she actually really threw, as my Luxray is able to Wild Charge, knock out both of her Pokemon, and we end up beating them Glacia. So we'll take that win and run away with it. From there, we're going to face up against Drake next. Drake's going to be the Dragon type Elite Four member of the game. We're going to start the battle off against Drake using my Go-Go to just Leech Seed into the Dragonite. Does not take a Hurricane pretty well. So I go out to my Corviknight next, and Corviknight actually takes all the damage pretty well. Hurricanes, outrages, all that good stuff. So I'm able to knock out the Dragonite eventually with my Corviknight. His next Pokemon will be a Dragapult, which he tries to go for, I don't, Zeke something, as I'm able to go for a Power Trip and knock him out in 1 shot. His next Pokemon will be a Dracovish, and Fisherman, through a bunch of bulk ups, still do a lot of damage. So I'm able to knock him out with a Power Trip. His next Pokemon will be a Garchomp, which Outrage does not do a lot of damage. Drill Peck would knock him out, and unfortunately I'm at low HP. But he goes out to his Hackmo, which I don't know why he has a Hackmo. I'm able to Drill Peck into him and knock him out, as we're able to beat down Drake. What a weird battle, I'm not gonna lie. From there, we're gonna face off against the champion in the game, and now the champion in the game is still pretty powerful, as while it's still gonna be a water type trainer, but he's still pretty powerful. He's gonna start the battle off against us using a Sharpedo, which is gonna Zen Headbutt into me, and normally I would set up, but he does too much damage, as I need a Horn Leech and knock out his Sharpedo. His next Pokemon will be a Starmie, which I know this thing doesn't have an Ice type move at all. I go out into my Salamence. Salamence is able to knock out the Starmie in 2 shots. From there, he's going to switch out into his Milotic, as I'm not able to really do any damage against him. I sack my H-Slash. And then from there, I'm able to go out into my Luxray, which will 2-shot into him with a Wild Charge, which is nice. He has Rocky Helmet, which is super annoying. His next Pokemon will be a Swampert, which I gotta sack my Luxray. I can't do anything else about that. So I sack my Luxray, go out to my Go-Go, and luckily enough, Go-Go is able to survive an Ice Beam just barely. Horn Leech into him. Maybe thinking back, I should have swapped out into my Greninja there. But Surf into him does not kill him at all, as he's able to survive it pretty easily. Lucky enough, he misses a Focus Blast, as I'm able to go for a Surf again, knock him out. His next Pokemon will be a Walrein, which I'm able to go for an Extra Sensory, do a little bit of damage, as he can go for a Yawn against me. I switch out into my Corviknight. Cornet is able to dodge an Ice Beam. Well, not the first time, but he's going to be able to dodge an Ice Beam, drill peck into him, and unfortunately goes down to a Blizzard. He gotta be running out of Blizzard, right? I go out into my Salamence next fly, I avoided a Share Cold, so I'm able to go for a fly again and knock him out with a fly. And his final Pokemon will be an Arctovish, which I go for a fly, which it does a lot of damage, but his Icicle Crash will knock me out as I go out into my Greninja Extra Sensory, as it actually does just enough. I'm able to survive a Fisherman since I outspeed him, and I'm able to knock him out with an Extra Sensory, as we're able to beat down the Arctovish and also beat down Wallace of the Elite Four, which is crazy. Now that could be the end of the game, but we want to quickly show the final battle in the game, which is going to be truly against Steven Stone. And yeah, it's just a go-go sweep. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little harder, but it's just a go-go sweep. But honestly, to wrap up the video and my review of this ROM hack, I think it's a pretty good ROM hack. I think it needs a little work though. I think it needs some playtesting in a little bit. The AI could be a little dumb sometimes. It doesn't capitalize on all the mistakes, but it felt like it was predicting me sometimes, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna switch out. Normally AIs don't expect you to switch out, but then when I switch out, it felt like it knew what I was doing. So maybe a little better AI, possibly for the newest update. Maybe like look into the crash reports. I don't know why, but I got a bunch of crashes for this ROM hack specifically. Even when I didn't have cheats on, when I didn't have the rare candy cheat to level up my Pokemon. So I don't know. I think it's a pretty solid ROM. I think it's pretty difficult. I don't think it's on the level of Radical Red just yet, but it could be there. So anyways, that'll be the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching my ROM hack review video and my challenge video. Anyways, my name's been Alpha. Hope you guys all had a great day, and I'm out. Peace.